dared to answer, Charlie said directly to Blake, "This old guy seems pretty clever. He thinks he can get out of this by staying quiet. Blake, go ahead and break both his legs." "Yes, Mr. Charlie." Charlie looked at the panicked Marcus Dixon and said coldly, "You can thank your son for this." A moment later, following two desperate screams, Marcus's legs were completely broken. Seeing his father's state, Logan completely lost it. A warm, foul-smelling liquid soaked the front of his pants. He had wet himself out of sheer terror. Charlie smiled coldly. "Well, it looks like you really have no self-control. Everything that's happened today is because you couldn't keep it in your pants. I don't think you should be allowed to keep it anymore." After he finished speaking, he told Blake, "Make sure he can never be whole again." A flicker of shock crossed Blake's face. As a man himself, he couldn't help but flinch when he heard that command. Orville immediately yelled, "What are you spacing out for? Hurry up and do what Mr. Charlie said." Blake snapped out of it and ordered the men around him. "Hold the punk's legs apart." Logan was desperate, crying loudly, "Mr. Charlie, please forgive me. You can break my arms and legs. Please, just don't do that." Charlie smiled. "You think this is a choice between your arms and legs and that? You're wrong. This isn't an either-or question. You're not getting out of either one." A moment later, Blake lifted his foot and stomped down hard. In that instant, Logan's scream tore through the air, echoing with the weight of consequences he'd never forget. But it wasn't over yet. Following Charlie's orders, Blake then broke his arms and legs. The arrogant Logan, who cheated on others and even beat a man into the hospital, was now completely broken in more ways than one. But no one felt sorry for him. Everything that happened to him today, he brought on himself. Now, only Arya was left untouched. By now, Arya was on the verge of a breakdown. She scrambled on her knees to the hospital bed, grabbing Darren's hand. Crying, she pleaded, "Darren, my love, I'm so sorry. I never should have betrayed you. I really do love you, but I was taken advantage of by Logan. He took pictures of me. I had no choice. I was at his mercy." Logan yelled furiously, "Arya, how dare you lie about me? It was you and your dad who came to me at the shop. You saw my family had money, and you went after me, throwing yourself at me. There's no other way we would have ever gotten together." Then, crying, he turned to Charlie and said, "Mr. Charlie, don't believe her lies. I've got the chat history. She added me on socials and told me she fell in love with me at first sight. She's the one who sent me all the messages. She sent me private photos and close-ups to seduce me. The pictures are in my photo album. You can check my phone and see for yourself." Arya's face went white. She shot back, "Logan, you promised you'd delete those photos after you looked at them." Logan gritted his teeth. "You're a real snake, trying to set me up. Good thing I didn't listen to you and saved the photos, or you would have totally screwed me over." Arya quickly turned back to Darren. "My love, I was just confused for a little while. For the sake of all our years together, please forgive me." Charlie asked Darren, "What do you think?" Darren glanced at Arya, pushed her hand away, and said flatly, "I don't know this woman." Arya completely broke down, collapsing and crying. Charlie said, "In that case, break her legs, and then mess up her face so she won't be showing up anywhere for a while." Charlie didn't feel the slightest bit of sympathy for Arya, this vicious, cheating woman. Blake immediately did as he was told. He even took a pair of medical scissors and chopped off her hair. And just like that, all 5 of them had paid a painful price. Charlie had his men drag all 5 of them up and said coldly, "Today, I've spared you 5 animals, but if any of you dare to breathe a word about what happened here, I will kill your entire family. Understand?" The 5 of them immediately nodded frantically. They were lucky just to be alive. There was no way they would dare to disobey Charlie. Seeing that the 5 of them were thoroughly intimidated, Charlie nodded in satisfaction. He turned to Arya's father, Orion, and said, "You cheated my friend, so you're going to pay the price. Tomorrow, you will sign the restaurant over to him. Then you and your daughter will get out. Do you understand?" Orion nodded furiously. "I understand. I'll be out of there by tomorrow." Charlie then turned to Logan's father, Marcus. "Your son messed around with my friend's girl and put him in the hospital. You will pay my friend $2 million in damages tomorrow, not a penny less. Do you understand?" Marcus quickly replied, "Mr. Charlie, I'll get you the money tomorrow." Only then was Charlie satisfied. He said to Orville's men, "All right, take out the trash." A group of men immediately dragged the 5 people out of the room. After they were gone, Charlie said to Blake, "Blake, you did a good job this time." Blake smiled and said quickly, "Mr. Charlie, I was just doing my job." Charlie said casually, "I'll have someone transfer $2 million to your account as a reward." Blake was ecstatic and bowed his head. "Thank you, Mr. Charlie." Although he'd made a lot of money working for Orville, he was definitely not this generous. He would never hand out $2 million just like that. Charlie sent a quick text to Isaac, asking him to transfer the money to Blake. Even though he had plenty of money in his own account, it wasn't the right time or place to be making the transfer himself. A minute later, the money appeared in Blake's account. Blake was so excited that he kept thanking Charlie. Charlie then said to Orville, "You must not look down on these $2 million. Orville said quickly, "Mr. Charlie, it's an honor to take care of things for you." Charlie nodded slightly. "I'll remember this favor, and I'll give you a chance to move up in the world." Hearing this, Orville immediately dropped to his knees in front of Charlie. For Orville, it wasn't about the money. It was about climbing to a higher level. But for a man like him, moving up was incredibly difficult. He had always tried to get in good with Isaac Craven, but Isaac never gave him the time of day because his street background was too rough and dirty. Now, with just a word from Charlie, it was very likely that Isaac would give him a hand, helping him finally make a real move up in the world. After settling the business, Charlie turned to Darren and asked, "Are you satisfied with how things turned out today?" Darren was in complete shock. He truly couldn't understand how Charlie had become so powerful. Even the undisputed kingpin of Oris Hill was kneeling before him. He was stunned for a long moment before he finally snapped out of it and said quickly, "Satisfied. I'm satisfied." Charlie said, "I got the restaurant back for you, and I also got you $2 million for your troubles. The rest is up to you now." Darren immediately replied, "Charlie, I'll do anything for you from now on to repay your kindness. Whatever you ask me to do, I'll do it. No questions asked." Charlie nodded. "You should focus on healing first. Once you're recovered, run the restaurant well. If I need you for anything, I'll let you know." Darren said, "I'll be ready whenever you need me." Charlie added, "Oh, and one more thing. You can't tell anyone about what happened today. I don't want people to know who I am. Understand?" Darren nodded quickly. "I understand. Don't worry. I'll take this secret to my grave." Charlie grunted in acknowledgement. "I'll arrange for a couple of nurses to look after you. Take care of yourself. I'm leaving now." Back home, Charlie didn't tell his wife Claire what happened. He still didn't want his wife to know too much. For her, the less she knew, the safer she'd be. The next day, while he was out grocery shopping, he got a call. He picked it up and saw it was from Warnia, the owner of the antique gallery and a daughter of the Smith family. Charlie couldn't help but wonder what Warnia wanted with him. He answered, and Warnia's voice came through. "Mr. Charlie, I'm so sorry to bother you. I know this is out of the blue." Charlie asked instinctively, "Is there something wrong with the jar I repaired?" Warnia replied quickly, "Oh no, not at all. I'm calling about something else." Charlie grunted. "Go on." Warnia said, "Well, I've had my eye on something recently, but I'm not completely sure about it." You know so much about antiques, so I was hoping you could come take a look and help me out. Charlie wasn't really interested in appraising antiques, but now that he had a few treasures of his own that seemed to hold some kind of spiritual energy, he was curious. He asked, "Can you tell me what it is?" Warnia replied, "It's an ancient jade. The seller claims that if you wear it, it brings peace of mind, good luck, and protects you from harm." Charlie's mind started racing. The mystic texts he had stumbled upon mentioned things with spiritual power. A treasure like that, one that actually contained spiritual energy, would be incredibly valuable to people. He wanted to see if something like that could really exist, so he agreed. "Okay, I can go with you." Warnia said, "Thank you, Mr. Charlie. I'll pick you up at 8 o'clock tomorrow morning." "Sounds good." After hanging up, Charlie thought to himself, things for interior design were one thing, but antiques that supposedly calm your nerves and bring good luck were really popular with the rich. He figured he should connect with more of these people in the future and see what opportunities came up. Early the next morning, Warnia drove over to pick up Charlie right on time. After Charlie got in the car, Warnia said, "Mr. Charlie, I'm heading out to buy this ancient jade today, but a few other people in Oris Hill are also interested. I'm afraid the competition is going to be fierce." Charlie nodded and said casually, "It doesn't matter how many people are there. What matters is the item itself. If it's the real deal, you shouldn't worry about the competition. I have faith in your family's influence, Miss Smith. If you really want a treasure, don't hold back." Warnia smiled faintly. "Mr. Charlie, you know what they say. There's always a bigger fish. Even in a place like Oris Hill, there are some real heavy hitters hiding in the shadows. I don't know how many people are more powerful than me." Charlie feigned surprise. "Really? Isn't the Smith family the biggest family in Oris Hill?" Warnia smiled. "That's just what people see on the surface. Take the new chairman of the M. Grand Group, for example. The M. Grand Group could buy and sell our entire Smith family. That person's power is on a whole other level." As she spoke, Warnia sighed. "I'd love to get to know this powerful man, but it's a shame he's so mysterious. There's no way to get an introduction." Warnia was telling the truth. She really did think the new chairman of the M. Grand Group was impossible to figure out. Someone who can buy a company worth hundreds of billions of dollars on a whim without even showing their face. It's clear their business empire is much bigger than just the M. Grand Group. Compared to that, the Smith family seemed a lot smaller. But she had no idea that the chairman of the M. Grand Group, the very person she wanted to befriend, was sitting right next to her. Charlie, of course, played it cool. He casually agreed with her a few times, but didn't give anything away. Warnia's car moved quickly and smoothly. Soon, she pulled up to a small courtyard by the river. The courtyard was private and tasteful. It looked simple and unassuming from the outside, but the inside was like a different world. There were small bridges over flowing water, beautiful gardens, and a series of gazebos. After she parked, someone was there to greet them and lead them inside. They walked through the yard and into a grand hall. Inside the banquet hall, there was a large mahogany dining table surrounded by several plush executive chairs. When they walked in, a white-haired older gentleman stood up and greeted Warnia. "Miss, you've arrived." Warnia looked a little flustered. She nodded and said, "Mr. Landon, what are you doing here?" The old man smiled slightly. "I heard you were coming, so I came to help out." Warnia nodded and then introduced him to Charlie. "Mr. Landon is our Smith family's appraiser. The family sent him along because they were worried I might make a mistake." Charlie nodded. It made sense. She was young, so the Smith family was probably worried about her. Landon glanced at Charlie. a look of disdain on his face. "This is the appraiser you invited, miss? He's so young. Does he even know anything about appraising?" Next to him, a grim-faced middle-aged man sneered. "Bringing some kid to back you up? Is there no one left in the Smith family? I could lend you one of my appraisers, you know." Warnia's expression turned cold. "Lucas Finley, this is Oris Hill, not San Francisco. It's not your place to run your mouth here." Lucas shrugged, looking unbothered. "The Smith family girl has quite a temper." "All right," a middle-aged man sitting across the table frowned. "We're all here for business, not to argue. Let's all calm down." He then gestured to Charlie. "And you, young man, please, take a seat with us." Warnia huffed and slowly sat down. Charlie took a seat as well. She leaned in close to his ear and whispered, "The one who just spoke, Lucas Finley, he's the richest man in San Francisco. Next to him is Wyatt Gilmore, a very powerful holistic design master. The one who broke it up is Christian Knox, the head of the Knox family here in Oris Hill. Their family is one of the most powerful around." Charlie then noticed Lucas Finley was sitting next to an older man in a turquoise suit. The man had a full head of silver hair and an almost otherworldly air about him. He sat with his eyes closed, giving off an intense vibe that warned everyone to keep their distance. He hadn't even opened his eyes since they'd arrived. At that point, Warnia stopped talking. Charlie was curious, but he knew he couldn't ask any more questions. Once everyone was seated, a portly man in expensive clothes sitting across the table. "Now that the bickering is over, let's get down to business and see the item. We're all busy people from important families. No need to drag this out." Christian Knox snorted coldly. "If this thing really does what you claim, if it can improve the harmony of a space, bring a sense of calm, and help one focus, then I don't care about $1 billion. The man glanced at him before placing a simple wooden box on the table. Inside the box was a red jade that seemed to glow, cut in an old-fashioned style. The moment he took it out, everyone felt a warm energy fill the hall. Christian's eyes lit up immediately. Warnia turned to old Landon. "Mr. Landon, what do you make of this jade?" Landon stared at it for a moment and then nodded. "It looks right. It's a stone from before the Thompson period. You can tell right away that it was kept and cared for by a devout priest for a very long time." Warnia nodded, then turned to Charlie. "What do you think, Mr. Charlie?" Charlie smirked. "It's a fake." Landon snorted and shot back. "You're just a kid. Who gave you the right to make accusations like that in front of everyone?" The old master, Wyatt Gilmore, sitting next to Lucas Finley, finally opened his eyes. He looked at the stone and asked, "May I take a closer look?" The man sneered. "Mr. Gilmore, are you joking? You don't know jade? This isn't some ordinary stone you can just pass around. My piece is from ancient times." Wyatt looked taken aback for a second. "My apologies. I spoke out of turn." With that, he leaned closer to the table and examined the item carefully. After a moment, he closed his eyes again. A long pause followed before he nodded and said, "I can't say if this jade is ancient or not, but it does affect the interior design and calm the mind. The effect is genuine." As soon as he said that, a buzz of excitement went through the room. To them, the history of the jade didn't really matter. What was important was what it could do. Landon smiled and said, "Mr. Gilmore is a man of good taste, unlike some who are all talk and no substance." Hearing this, Warnia couldn't help but feel a little disappointed in Charlie. It seemed he really was too young. Maybe he knew a thing or two about restoring historical artifacts, but when it came to appraising genuine antiques, he was clearly out of his league compared to these experienced men. Charlie just shook his head slightly when he saw this. If these people wanted to be fooled, he wasn't going to be the one to stop them. Seeing that everyone had finished their inspection, The man closed the box and said with a smile, "All right, since the item has been appraised, gentlemen, is it time to talk numbers?" Before he could even finish, Christian Knox jumped in. "I'll offer 100 million. 130 million, Lucas Finley added. The man looked over at Warnia, who was still quiet. "And Miss Smith?" he asked. Seeing Warnia hesitate, Landon quickly leaned in and whispered, "Miss, this is definitely a treasure. It's probably worth around 300 million. If you can get it for 200 million, you'll make a solid profit." Warnia felt a little conflicted. She glanced over at Charlie, but he just looked calm, not showing any emotion, which made her hesitate even more. Landon shot Charlie a cold look. He realized Warnia was holding back because of him. "A moment ago, Mr. Charlie claimed this jade is a fake," he said loudly. "I'd really like to know how he came to that conclusion. Let's all see what Mr. Charlie's methods are. If Charlie made a fool of himself, Warnia would know he was full of it and would feel confident enough to bid." Others around the table chimed in with scorn. "What does a kid like him know? He's just embarrassing himself. Yeah, who is he to even speak here? If you're not going to buy it, don't waste our time." Listening to the jeers, Charlie just looked at Landon with an amused expression and asked calmly, "Are you sure you want me to explain?" "Of course. Go on, say it. I'd love to see how you con artists usually pull off your tricks." Charlie shrugged. "I wasn't going to expose your scam, but since you keep asking, I can't say no." "A scam? Kid, are you saying we all missed it?" Wyatt, who had been quiet until now, said with a sneer. Charlie glanced at him and shot back, "You, in particular, are the most clueless one here." "Kid, you're asking for it." Wyatt was furious. Charlie ignored him. "The stone is a real jade, so I'll give you liars that much." Then he continued, "But this stone isn't from the Thompson period, and it wasn't cared for by some devout priest. It's nothing more than a piece of Texas topaz. The quality is decent, so it has some value, but the price is $500,000 at most." "That's garbage! Can't you see the stone is red?" Landon scolded. Charlie continued, "The red color comes from erosion by manganese ore containing submanganate. Did you really think it was soaked in the blood of some important priest? Then what about that warm energy we're all feeling?" Christian frowned and asked eagerly. Charlie shook his head. "That part's even less clever. There's a plant from Africa. Its root is ground into a powder and dissolved in water. If you soak this stone in that water for about half a year, you'll naturally get this effect. It's not warm energy. It's a psychedelic effect, and it's easy to get rid of. Just heat the stone with a flame." "Kid, how dare you say such crazy things?" Hearing this, the fat man slammed his hand on the table and stood up. Lucas's expression darkened. He looked at the man and said, "Why don't we test it with a little heat?" The man was sweating bullets. "Test it? Why? This kid is obviously just making things up. Don't listen to his nonsense." Christian tapped his finger on the table. "If you heat it and the effect is still there, I'll pay for it. But if the effect is gone, well, you know the consequences. Even though my Knox family has had some recent troubles, we don't let people walk all over us." Warnia also nodded. "If Mr. Charlie is wrong, no harm done. A little heat won't damage the stone. But if Mr. Charlie is right, you'll have to give us an explanation today." The man suddenly broke out in a cold sweat. He couldn't risk offending any of those three. The whole setup was a scam cooked up by Landon to trick Warnia out of a lot of money, and they planned to split the profits. But out of nowhere, Charlie had shown up and ruined everything, exposing the whole trick in just a few words. The truth was, Charlie didn't actually know anything about jade. The only reason he could see through the scam at a glance was because of the mystic knowledge he possessed. For some reason, the moment he saw the stone, The answers just appeared in his mind. It seemed that identifying antique artifacts was a skill taught in the mystic texts. Seeing that the man was silent, Charlie sneered. "What's the matter? Feeling guilty? Cat got your tongue?" The man's face